In our last two videos, I revealed the hidden forces controlling your habits and introduced the 5-step protocol for transformation. Today,
We're going diving deep into exactly how to implement these steps. What I'm about to share isn't just theory, it's the practical blueprint that's going to transform how you approach behavior change forever.
this is where everything we've discussed comes together into a system so powerful it can override years of ingrained patterns.
Let's start with something shocking. A recent study found that 95% of people who
Successfully changed their long-term habits didn't do it through motivation or willpower. Instead, they used a process that literally rewired their neural pathways. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how they did it, step by step, leaving nothing to chance. This isn't just about changing habits, it's about rewiring your entire behavioral operating system. Remember the 5 steps we covered? Pattern mapping, environment engineering, identity anchoring, progressive loading, and failure proofing. Now, I'm going to show you how to implement each one with surgical precision. But first, let me share a story that will change how you think about habit formation forever. Because sometimes seeing the principles in action makes all the difference. There was a woman named Sarah who had tried to build a morning exercise habit for over a decade. She bought gym memberships, set countless alarms,
and made hundreds of promises to herself. Nothing worked. She tried everything. Motivation videos, accountability partners,
expensive trainers, but always fell back into old patterns. Then she discovered something fascinating about habit formation that changed everything. Within 60 days, she not only had a consistent morning workout routine, but had transformed her entire life. The secret wasn't in trying harder, it was in understanding how to work with her brain instead of against it. Let's start with pattern mapping. Pull out a notebook, because this is crucial. For the next 3 days, you're going to document every instance of the habit you want to change. But here's the key. You're not just tracking when it happens, you're tracking what happens before it. Most people completely miss this critical step, and it's costing them everything in their habit change efforts. You're looking for 3 specific things: the trigger, what initiates the habit; the craving, what you're really seeking; and the reward, what you actually get. Here's what's fascinating. Research shows that most people misidentify all 3. They think they're stress eating because they're hungry, when really they're seeking emotional comfort. They think they're procrastinating because they're lazy, when really their brain is trying to avoid uncertainty. They think they're scrolling social media because they're bored, when really they're seeking a sense of connection. Let me give you a concrete example that will make this crystal clear. One of my clients thought he had a problem with late-night snacking, but when we mapped his patterns, we discovered something fascinating. The snacking wasn't triggered by hunger, it was triggered by loneliness. The food was just his brain's solution to a deeper emotional need. Once we understood this, changing the habit became dramatically easier. Instead of fighting the urge to eat, he built new habits around social connection. The late-night snacking disappeared naturally, without willpower or struggle. Now let's talk about environment engineering, and this is where things get really interesting. Your environment is either working for you or against you. There's no neutral ground. Here's a mind-bending fact. Studies show that people who successfully change their habits change their environment first, not their mindset. Your environment is like gravity. It's constantly pulling you towards certain behaviors, whether you realize it or not. Let me give you a concrete example that will transform how you approach habit change. Take your phone right now. It's probably designed to hijack your attention, but what if we reversed that? I'm going to show you 3 specific changes you can make right now that will turn your phone from a habit destroyer into a habit builder. This isn't about willpower. It's about designing your environment to make success automatic. We're talking about specific app placements, notification settings, and screen configurations that make good habits inevitable and bad habits nearly impossible. But here's where we get to the real power: identity anchoring. This is the secret weapon that most habit advice completely misses. Your brain is constantly seeking consistency with your identity. Try to force actions that conflict with your self-image, and you'll fail every time. But align your habits with your identity, and they become nearly automatic. This isn't positive thinking, it's neuroscience in action. Here's the practical protocol. Start with what I call identity statements. These aren't affirmations, they're declarations of who you are, based on evidence you already have. I'll show you exactly how to craft these statements to leverage your brain's natural desire for consistency. The key is to find small pieces of evidence in your current life that support the identity you want to build. Even tiny examples count. We're building a foundation here. Now, progressive loading. This is where the rubber meets the road. Most people try to change too much too fast, triggering their brain's threat response. Instead, we're going to use what I call the 1% rule. It's a precise formula for increasing habit difficulty without triggering resistance. The math behind this is fascinating, and I'll show you exactly how to calculate your own progression. Think of it like weight training for your habits. You wouldn't start with 300 pounds on day 1, and you shouldn't start with dramatic habit changes either. Let me show you exactly how this works. Let's say you want to build a meditation habit. Instead of starting with 30 minutes, which your brain will resist, you start with 1 minute. But here's the key. You do it every single day for a week. Then you increase by 30 seconds. This feels ridiculously easy, and that's That's exactly the point. Your brain never triggers its threat response because the changes are so small they're almost unnoticeable. But over time, these tiny increases compound into massive changes. Finally, let's talk about failure proofing. This isn't just about having a backup plan. It's about understanding the science of habit resilience. Research shows that successful habit formation isn't about never failing. It's about failing in the right way. I'm going to show you my proprietary recovery protocol that turns every setback into a strengthening mechanism. This is what separates temporary change from permanent transformation. Here's where everything comes together. Take out your phone right now and open your calendar. We're going to create what I call a habit installation timeline. This isn't a vague plan, it's a precise schedule for implementing each step we've covered. Think of it like a GPS for habit change. Every turn is mapped out in advance. Week 1 is all about pattern mapping. You'll use the tracking system I'm about to show you to gather critical data about your current habits. Every trigger, every craving, every reward gets documented. This isn't just busy work, it's reconnaissance for your habit change mission. You're gathering intelligence that will make every other step more effective. Week 2 focuses on environment engineering, where you'll make specific changes to your surroundings using the checklist I'm going to provide. This isn't just about removing temptations. It's about creating an environment that automatically pulls you toward your desired habits. Every object in your environment is either helping or hurting your habits. There's no neutral ground. Weeks 3 and 4 are dedicated to identity anchoring and progressive loading. This is where the magic happens. You'll learn exactly how to scale up your habits without triggering your brain's resistance mechanisms. We're going to build your new habits so gradually that your brain barely notices the change, but so consistently that the results are inevitable. Throughout this entire process, you'll be using the failure-proofing protocols to ensure that setbacks make you stronger, not weaker. Every slip-up becomes a data point for improvement, not a reason for disappointment. This is how you build habits that last a lifetime, not just until your motivation runs out. But here's the most important part. This isn't just about changing individual habits. What I've shown you is a system for permanent behavior transformation. Once you understand these principles, you can apply them to any area of your life, whether you want to transform your health, your productivity, your relationships, or your entire life trajectory. These principles will show you the way. Remember, your habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Small changes, consistently applied, create remarkable results. The system I've shared today isn't just about breaking bad habits or building good ones. It's about becoming the architect of your own behavior. It's about taking control of the forces that have been controlling you. Now you have the blueprint. You understand the science. You know the exact steps to take. The only question is, are you ready to begin? Because once you start applying these principles, there's no going back to your old ways of thinking about habit change. Every moment from now on is a chance to vote for the person you want to become. Take action now. Start with step 1 today. Document your patterns. Begin redesigning your environment and watch as your life transforms, one small change at a time. The person you want to become is waiting on the other side of these habits. It's time to build the bridge that will take you there.